Hey, it's Sick Boy for the Gaming and his collective, and I'm doing a wee bit of a hangout to discuss the fallout and where we can really go forward with things with regards to gamers and the gaming media. So, joining me right now, I have Angela
Hello.
and Main Event
Hey, what's going on?
and Monday Matt.
Hey, everybody.
Hello,
Okie
Dr.
dokie.
Nick.
So, I am not 100% solid as to whether I've actually got the chat running on the hangout, so potentially the best option might be to go to the video.
I've been having that problem all damn week. Apparently, the chat only works if you're doing like a certain kind of if you're patching in cameras to the live stream. If you do it from YouTube itself, but if you want to integrate it into Google Hangout, you can't.
Oh, well, that's just handy. Okie dokie, right, so I'll just send out again, so for anyone who needs it, actually over Twitter quickly, just to say that we are now live. Right. But my @ symbol's misbehaving on my laptop. Okie dokie. Right, so I suppose the reason I've kind of pulled this together is because obviously we've had the last couple of weeks, I think we'll all agree, has been an absolute nightmare for everybody involved. And there's the media narrative has turned, and to their extent, pretty successfully so far with regards to the way the mainstream are working, that the message has been controlled, and the message now is horrible sexist gamers are horrible sexist bastards and they harass women. That is what the media narrative is now, which is fairly distressing, but at the same time, these people wouldn't have cared in the first place.
Well, I think that the media is trying to kind of regain control because they've absolutely lost it. Like, they've just 100% lost any kind of, I guess you could say, integrity to a lot of people. Like, they're just not. If you look at like some things Luke Plunkett has said, and I think his article yesterday about like the death of the identity of gamer, someone's like, oh, I can't believe like all of this you've had to endure for 2 weeks. If I could, I'd buy you a beer. And he was like, oh, I need more than a beer to handle what's gone on for 2 weeks. And it's like, oh, your integrity called into question. You're backpedaling. You're hiding. You're decrying the identity of your consumers because you don't like that they've said things about you that are mean. Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, and I have to agree because we've seen as of late, I mean, if we go down the list, I mean, we're starting all the way back from gamers are, killers, and all of a sudden we were rapists. Now we're terrorists, we're misogynists. Like, everything that they've thrown at us, gamers are still here to endure it. And it seems like this is not going away now that it's in-house, because before it was, Fox, CNN, it was the media outside that were doing those things and saying these things about our community. Now we have it inside our industry saying this about us. So we're getting it from both ways now. And for me, it's kind of disheartening to watch because like people like Luke Plunkett and many other journalists who they make these articles and they expect to not have any backlash. And it's like, no, we're going to stand up and we're going to say something. Matt's video that he did not too long ago, where he called out bigger YouTubers, and I play this. I fully agree, but what made me mad was the fact that I've been saying this for years. I've been saying it for years. You know what I mean?
I hear
Hopefully,
you. I hear you.
yeah. It's like you've got to be kidding me that it shouldn't take this to happen to get us to come together and to unite, and fight back. And the thing is, because we're seeing so much frustration coming down the line, it's almost like fighting fire with fire. And when these people make these type of claims, and then you have, gamers who get frustrated, they get upset, they say, oh no, not this again, and then before you know it, you get a couple of idiots who decide to do something really stupid, and then all of a sudden, we're all impacted by it. And it shouldn't be that way.
No, it shouldn't. And and the thing is, though, if you look at like a lot of the commentary that's coming out of it, it's especially from people like Total Biscuit and everything. They're saying, he said last night, like basically to Will Wheaton, because Will Wheaton was like just not getting it, like just not getting it, and he was like, you can't say that like these few people represent everybody. Like you can't do it. And Will Wheaton is like nothing. No comment back, no response, nothing. And it just shows you the mindset of these people. That's like, oh, I will mock you from afar. I will criticize you from up top of my fucking ivory tower. But as soon as this calls back on me, oh no, radio silence.
Or if not radio silence, then suppression or deflection. We've seen that way too many times. It's amazing how these same people who scream how they're being oppressed and such nature, they're quick to try to suppress other information. Or if, for those who have not seen already, Jordan Owen, when he was there was an article written about him not too long ago, actually today, where they're like, it's almost like a preemptive strike. Like, oh, these are the guys you should be worried about. You have to stop them now. And it's like, so you're trying to oppress others while also screaming that you're oppressed. That's being hypocritical.
Yeah, this is a big problem that's happening now, that everybody's playing the kind of, my oppression trumps your oppression card, and I'm feeling, in particular in the last few days, that we're being provoked, and it's being done on purpose because they want to sort of paint us as this kind of baying mob that's out for blood. And people are falling for it. People are talking like it's a war, it's a battle, we've got to fight, we've got to, get your pitchforks out. And it's getting to the point where it's insane. The levels of toxicity are insane. Battle lines are being drawn, and it's this whole, if you're not with us, you're against us mentality that's going on from everywhere now, from everywhere, even just from like sensible, or they seemed sensible before, and suddenly allies, the people that were seemed to be quite reasonable before, are suddenly being pulled almost like along in the crowd, and are suddenly going absolutely mental. And I think it is being done on purpose. I think that they are trying to provoke us into like, look, we're saying that they're all entitled. We're saying that gamers are entitled. We're saying that nothing ever makes them happy. We're saying that they're horrible people and they're terrorists and they should be watched. They're dangerous. And look, they're proving us right. They're proving us right. And there are a lot of people that are handing them ammunition as soon as somebody does something stupid, or as soon as, at the moment, my timeline is full of people like, we've got to fight, we've got to do this, that, and the other. And it's not. When we did the kind of anti-DRM thing, it really did feel like this kind of epic fight where it was like the little people against these giant corporations. This doesn't feel like that. This feels like some kind of, I don't know, this feels kind of wrong, and just like this kind of dirty thing where everybody's playing dirty now, and it's not good at all. It's not good for us as a community.
Not at all. I put it like this. When we went to arcades back in the day, you saw men and women, boys and girls, playing next to each other, high-fiving each other, whether it was in competition or like an NBA Jam, or whether it was something like you played together in Golden Axe or something. There was always camaraderie. There wasn't all this arguing and mudslinging, or you don't like me because I'm a girl, or it was never that way. And I have no idea where this has come from. Of course, the industry has their little secrets. We know this. It's been going on for a while, apparently. But there's no way that we can sit here and draw lines and say, look, this is how this is going to be, and if we don't like something, if I'm offended by something, then therefore this is how you're being generalized completely. And I'm going to take everyone else that's just like you, or men in general, or vice versa in general, and say it's the same way. That's absolutely ridiculous. And these people, and it shocks me how these people still have followers. It shocks me how many people really believe in this, because, let's be honest, if this was about talking, and like I said, we should be clearing the air, stuff like this, we need more roundtables. We need more debates with said writers who do this type of stuff. It's the only way it's going to get clear, because getting angry, and they were talking about not too long ago, protesting PAX that's going on right now, and people are fearing for their safety. Like, When has it come to a point where gamers have been known to be dangerous all of a sudden? I don't get that. Because you have a couple kids who come home out of maybe, come home from school, take off their book bags and decide, okay, I'm going to, start cursing out the world on the computer. Like, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. But this is what we're handed now, it seems.
Well, when I can go back to, like, when I was younger, I was bullied and picked on a lot in school. Like, a lot. And I would come home and I'd play, like, Doom 2 afterward, and I just felt better. So when, like, Columbine happened, and they were saying, like, that the two guys, Klebold and Harris, were, like, they had spent tens of thousands of hours playing Doom 2. A lot of people at the time were going, like, anyone who played Doom 2 openly talked about it, or Doom or anything, they were afraid they were going to start shooting up a school. And it's just that kind of, like, that fear mindset of what a small group of people will do affects a lot of others, which might be, in essence, where that terminology of the terrorist has come into play lately.
Uh-huh.
But it's such a blanket concept in terms of how it's being thrown around. Like, it's just being thrown around all willy-nilly. You know what I mean? It's just, like, out there. It's like, oh, you don't agree with me? You're a terrorist.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's, and like, there's, like, no one is really, like, refuting that who's in a position of power, maybe outside of, like, Boogie 298, or sorry, Total Biscuit, from what I've seen. But, like, you've got, like, all these other bigger YouTubers and all these other bigger personalities online that talk about gaming, that love the medium, and they're being absolutely silent. And this is probably because JonTron has just been assaulted lately. But it's like, this is proof that those lines have been drawn in the sand. And I know that I've added to the hyperbole of it all, and I will admit that it's a little bit easy to get swept up in it all, especially when you've got all of a sudden all those eyes, looking at you. And I know what Event said earlier about he was a little ticked off at the whole, like, my video from last night about calling, kind of a call to arms, and I completely get that. Like a week and a half ago, I had 16,000 subscribers. Now I'm almost at 26,000. People are looking at me. I'm like, I might as well use the time I've got in the spotlight to do some good.
Some good, yeah.
That's the way I see it. Is like, I should, like, use what I've got right now to spread, like, because I've been talking about this for a while, that, like, we're all rational people, we're all reasonable people, we're all logical people. We cannot give into that mob mindset. We can't give into, these people who act this way and then let them get away with it on both sides. It's like, we're calling out these people for their journalistic integrity. How is that a bad thing? We're asking for transparency, disclosure, to be no discrepancies, and to treat people with respect. And they're coming at us like, oh no, you guys are all terrorists. You guys are all your identity is now dead because we've decreed it.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing that has pissed, like, in the video where you talk about, like I said, now mind you, the video you made, I agree completely with it. When they said about how gaming, gamers, the word gamers is dead, and there's actually an article, I believe, not too long ago, where it says there's actually a blueprint, almost like an article that says how to destroy gaming, how to beat gamers, how to, and I'm like, wait a minute, who sat down, first off, who has the right to say, oh, well, this is dead? And then you have a couple people say, okay, that's what we're going to go with. This little cool kids club come around and say, oh, yeah, well, if that person said, then we'll get 5 or 6 other people to say it, and maybe it'll catch on. You know what I mean? Like, that, to me, is absolutely ridiculous. There is no single entity that can sit here, unless the industry crashes and no more games are ever made in the history of man or woman, gaming or gamers, the term gamers, will not die. It's just that simple.
No, it won't die. It can't die. It's too much money. It's $100 billion a year industry. It's not going to crash. The people keep talking about this crash. It's like, it's not going to crash. I mean, consoles are still being sold. Nintendo just announced the new DS again. I mean, there's all these things that are happening, all these things that are going on, and you've got all this money still being spent. But I think the culture is changing. You know what I mean? Like, the culture is changing, which is not a bad thing. Everything has the inevitable change, right? Life is change, whether we want it to be or not. And so the stuff we like is doing the same thing. We've shifted away too. It's like, if you think of it like this, I think I said this too in my video last night, is like, Twitch streaming and YouTubers have effectively killed games journalism, right? The same way that online websites, games websites, killed the print medium.
Yep.
Because people are... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying people are getting their information now from a much more trusted, dedicated source. They don't have to wait months or days or weeks to get that information. It's coming, in 1080p quality from a personality that they like and that they trust.
Yep.
And that's happening, and that's a good thing. But these journalists that I understand, they all live in San Francisco. They all got to pay outrageous prices to live in San Francisco. So a lot of them live like in Oakland and outlying areas, and they commute in. I get that. And they're trying to hold on to their own identity because they've got to know that it's slipping away. More than our identity is. Their identity is dwindling to the point of just non-existence.
And the thing about that is, when it comes down to, like I said, when it comes down to personalities, if you haven't realized, almost every website these days, there's always a video embedded into some type of article. Every website.
Yeah.
So YouTube plays a huge factor, whether personality or whatever channel plays a huge factor into these articles, especially when it comes to gaming media. I can't tell you how many gaming media articles I've read where someone would insert Boogie's video into embed it into their body of their work, and I'm like, so if we have a YouTuber who steps out and says this, we can't have gaming media come out of nowhere and be like, oh, you can't listen to that person because that person's simply on YouTube and doesn't have any credibility. When they actually benefit off of said YouTuber. Like, it makes no sense to me how they do that.
The amusing thing is actually now they're printing articles that literally say there's a new video from this person. I mean, the fact that when Anita Sarkeesian's new video came out, there were articles saying Anita Sarkeesian's got a new video embedded, and that was it.
Well,
it was just an advert
those articles were written after the harassment.
Hmm.
Those articles are written after she sent out the tweet that's been called, those tweets that have been called into question. Like, that's where that came from. The first day that her new video was live, maybe 30-some thousand hits. After the second day, 70-some thousand hits, right? Like, she was not the talk of it. No one was talking about her. But
I do think
a
there was
death threat comes along. All of a sudden, she's back on everyone's top talk list.
Yep, and it's not.
I'm not saying this is planned or anything like this. I'm not trying to suggest anything like that. I'm merely saying these are the events that happened. Take from that what you will.
No, I agree, because it's way too coincidental. I said this on Preon stream earlier. There is no way in the previous 2 weeks that we can have something happen day after day, hour after hour, out of nowhere. Something is not adding up. Something has to be in-house. I'm not saying whoever harassed her or whatever. I'm not saying that it was her. But for anyone who knows, if you're going to the authorities over said death threat, they're going to tell you to not say anything about it. Do not release any information public, because they want to be able to catch this person without scaring them off. Now, we know it was a made up account, a troll account, which just posted 10 messages. That's all it was. What makes me upset is the fact that there were so many articles written about it when literally millions of YouTubers have had this happen to them. And I don't see their articles anywhere.
Yeah. In fact, one of the reasons I've been so quiet is, one, I've been enjoying the two of you back and forth, but I've been going through Anita Sarkeesian's tweets for the last 4 hours on Twitter. And I can confirm, from what I've just gone through, there were 3 tweets that you could consider trolling, one of which says you're a lying cunt, which might be considered harassment, and 2, one just something going, oh wow, she still blocked me, and the other one is just somebody just saying, just making a spurious comment. So one thing I'm finding, that I don't want to start pointing fingers at people who want to see the world to be a better place, but I do find a lot of cases that when I mention things, I am told by a lot of people that harassment of women in gaming and is constant, a constant barrage of rape and death threats all the time. And
Yeah, but you have to ask them what their definition of time is.
well, yeah. Well, and
I
I'm
thought
talking
about that too,
in this instance, over the last 4 hours, nothing that could be constituted as anything more than literally 3 tweets of dislike, a few tweets of a few sarcastic, snarky tweets, and mostly, oh, you know, strength to you for your in your hard time. We love you, and all positive stuff. So I don't see where this vile hatred is coming from. And granted, I did a search for her tag. Not her name, without the at, to see what was talking about. So obviously there may be other stuff, but that's what I've seen. So when I've been talking to people and saying, okay, well how intense and how bad is this harassment that it's not just, oh, that guy's a prick, block? Is it so bad? It doesn't appear to be. And when we receive evidence of how bad it is, and it's one tweet or one account sending a number of tweets over the space of 3 minutes, I find it hard to take it seriously as a skeptical person.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about gaming all the time on my Twitter account, all the time, probably every day. I know my audience is tiny. I've got about like 250 followers, so I'm a tiny little fish. But I've never received a rape threat or a death threat. The probably 99% of my interactions with gamers of of any gender on Twitter has been really positive. The only thing I ever had was I had some guy call me a whore once, but he actually apologized the next day.
Was he Canadian? Because they're prone to do that.
But and I'm not saying it doesn't happen by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, it probably does. But at the same time, it's unfair to say that this is purely a female problem. It is unfair to say that abuse. I mean, you only have to look at the comment sections of any YouTuber that makes videos, well, probably about anything, about most things, especially since a lot of YouTube videos are opinion pieces. And there's always going to be people that don't agree with you, people that are going to call you all the names under the sun, or tell you you've missed the point, or that you don't understand, or that you should check your privilege, and all these other lovely unhelpful phrases that and it's unfair to kind of discount that. So I don't know, maybe that's a thing that should happen, is that more people should come forward when they're being harassed, instead of just kind of ignoring it, not giving air to these people, not giving them publicity, but just sort of saying, I'm getting threats here, I'm getting someone's being a bit of a prick to me, but you know what, fuck them, they can piss off.
Well, that's what these people do. That's how they stay relevant. I mean, it's been proven time and time again. I mean, look at everything that Anita does. Really, like how she chronicles. We know she chronicles everything, right? We know this. Like, she's flat out said like she doesn't. She rarely ever reports an account for spam or harassment, but she'll document. Like, I know she's got entire folders dedicated to me, and probably dedicated to Jordan Owen. More Jordan Owen than me lately. But you've got this person who chronicles every little tidbit of hatred or disagreement or discourse. Why? What's their ultimate goal with that? It's like
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh no, I mean it's an open-ended question, but that's it. It's like what I have my theories, but to everyone else out there, like, what would be this person's ultimate goal to keep all of this hatred and negativity ready to be exploited at a moment's notice?
Well, that's it. It's about exploiting. It's exploiting our community. I mean, if you think about it, without the trolls, Anita would have never gotten big. She'd have never been that big. In her videos, it was, look how they're treating me, look how this is going on, look what they're calling me, and you say, this is what I'm talking about. And it's almost like a professional victim role, to the point where she has it down to a science.
True. I mean, the thing is, you'd be amazed at how many emails I get. I get a lot of emails from people that are like, did you see what she's done now? And I'm like, yeah, I've seen it. And they're like, no, but do you know that this is like a conspiracy, right? Like, there's something big at play. And I'm like, no, there's not. Anita is not a supervillain. She's not.
She's
people
not.
want to. People have put her in that role. I think she's helped propagate herself to that role, or that idea of her. But she's not. She is a person who is very smart, very calm, very patient, and very calculated. And I've said this before. If you go back and watch her Gamer X2 interview or panel discussion, it's her at her most candid. And just watch how she answers questions, and how even the questions in the room are moderated.
Yeah,
You know?
I hated the fact that they were moderated. I hated that because write on this card and send it over to a guy and he'll walk on down the aisle. And I was like, are you serious? Like, this isn't a real Q&A, because a real Q&A you can stand up, raise your hand, and and be like, hey, I have a question for you. But
Well, that was the thing going on right now with the PAX stream from the Escapist magazine. That a lot of people, if you read the comments, people are bitching about, like, why is this happening during PAX? I have to choose. We're better than PAX. That's what I'm saying to you guys right now. If you who are here, we're better than PAX. You know we're better than PAX. Subscribe to all of our channels. But the point is,
I think that's another big thing. I think that there's so many, like, when they're so organized. And I think it's time for gamers to start having more panels at these places and start having really rational discussions. I don't care if it's at a fighting tournament or if it's at PAX, or there needs to be more talk. Like, say, in order to clear the air to get an understanding, I would really like to see a lot of these people who are saying these things come out and debate and talk. Like, Samantha Allen will not accept any debates. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
funny.
That whole Samantha Allen thing is so bizarre when you think that she's still saying, I'm not done with Giant Bomb, like Giant Bomb did something terrible. Because from what I can tell, I mean, hey guys, I'm sure that you may have more information than me on this, but from when I was looking at it and the way it was going down, okay, so the job opening at Giant Bomb went down, and a man got the job. And she claimed that it was sexist that this person got the job, despite the fact that that person was highly qualified and well experienced. And then when she was asked, did you apply? She said no. And I kind of think she's still taking issue with Giant Bomb. We want to go, do you know what? Even if you had applied, and if you didn't even fucking apply, what business have you got to even open your mouth to say, I didn't get that job? Well, a man got that job. Did you apply? No. Well, fuck off then. You didn't apply.
It's worse than that, though. I believe her tweet said about it could have been anyone but a white male. When she said,
yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, like I said before, I've said in videos, I'm like, if I would have said something like that, man, they'd have came after me. Angry black man, race issues. If I had said half the things that Samantha Allen has said on the behalf, apparently, of people of color, I would have been destroyed by that.
Well, yeah. Samantha gets to
that's
throw
one of the things
her
that cracks
oppression
me up,
card
though.
because she gets to claim her minority status as a transgender woman. So she claims that minority status. So it means that she seems to have the voice to speak on behalf of all people, which I think is bullshit. You can only speak for your own experience, and I can't imagine you are the best placed person to discuss inclusion issues if ultimately you have a dislike for the gender you were born with. It's very hard to be even-handed about gender issues if you ultimately have that degree of trauma, because it's a traumatic experience for that person, and I feel sorry for that traumatic experience. But it means you can't really be objective. That's like asking someone who was previously a slave, what do they feel about slavery? They're not going to like it. They're traumatized by their experience, and therefore they can't be positive or even-handed. Which means a lot of people would say, this kind of goes back to the whole thing people are talking about. Well, you have to listen to when women say we're being harassed, and we should listen to when people are harassed. We should all stand together and say harassment is wrong, categorically. Anyone being harassed is wrong. But ultimately, as far as I can see, and although people may scoff at it, the people being harassed are the average gamer. And people scoff at that because they think it's white men and that doesn't matter, which is absolute bullshit on the grounds that gamers are not just white men. And even if it was, it would still be wrong.
Yeah, I really hate this whole your opinion is invalid because you're white, or because you're male, or because you're cisgender, or because no, I really hate that. I mean, you can say to a person, yeah, you may not fully understand this sort of situation from my perspective because you've not experienced it from my point of view. But you can't say you know nothing about it because your opinion is totally invalid because you're the enemy. Because you're alienating people who may, with a bit of good discussion, with a bit of understanding, with a bit of people will come to you and ask you questions, and they're not always trying to be angry. They're not always trying to troll you. Sometimes they're just genuinely, well, what's the big deal? Try. They want to understand. They're asking questions because they want to know, and then you just kind of go, and you're alienating them completely from the discussion. And this is one of, I am a feminist, and this is the problem I have with some other feminists, is that if you're a man, your opinion is automatically invalid. And it's like, no, that's not the way to go, because then automatically every man you say that to, well, gets defensive. And is like, well, what do you mean that? Well, feminism, bad. You hate me, you hate men. No, things can't happen. Positive change cannot happen without everybody, without a discussion, without input from everybody. And yeah, you're always going to have the kind of minority of people who you're not going to want to debate with because they're, insane or what have you. But at the same time, you really need to get as much input as possible, as much discussion as possible, because the kind of the input from the average gamer, whatever that might mean, is invaluable. And this is what they're kind of forgetting. However, to just sort of turn it around a little, particularly on the media, you can kind of slightly understand why they might have felt like being a journalist, like a gaming journalist, in the last few days is a bit of a thankless task. In particular, with like Polygon clarifying its position on Patreon donations, and Kotaku changing, or again making it clear their position on Patreon and that they're going to enforce that more. And the internet's in uproar, with one half saying, no, you've let the terrorists win, and the other half saying, no, that's not far enough. Nobody's actually gone sort of to them and said, well, okay, yeah, that's great that you did that. That's great that you did that. Okay, we'd like to see a little bit more, and we'd like you to work with us on how we can make this all kind of better for everybody. But it's great that you did that, and thank you for doing that. Nobody's done that. Nobody's done that.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Instead of trying to build a bridge, if you've read the actual type of writing they're doing, it's more of attack and defense. It's never been, hey, look, let's try and meet either halfway or try to make this better than what it is. They're still putting out these type of articles, and we all know at this point it's clickbait. We know this. But that's what they're banking on. It's almost like a trend to them. This is what's hot right now. Let's keep talking about it. There's no way that there could be, 5 articles overnight or something like that? Just on one issue. Like, that's crazy. If it's uncalled for. And then you find out that some of these are like sister websites to others, so then they get into the act. So, you're constantly being bombarded. You're kind of getting beat over the head with it, hoping that they force you to believe in it. But like I said, every time you try to talk to one of them, or, I won't say call them out, but try to get them to debate and actually have a rational conversation, they just shut down every time.
I think there's an interesting point to be had here, that when Angela was talking about, it's unhelpful when you're essentially a minority trying to get fair treatment, the best thing to do is not to start screaming at the people who ultimately have the power and call them horrible bastards, because they're not going to be inclined to help you. So there is that aspect, but then you go into gaming media, or media, that kind of gaming media in general, the majority that they're talking about are not really represented. And they're fighting against essentially a patriarch or whatever, they consider the ruling class within gaming being these dude bro people that don't, they're not really. Most of those dude bro characters don't read any of their articles or give a shit. They buy Call of Duty and Madden and have their fun, and they don't give a toss about anything else. So they're drawing that whole thing, but at the same time, they're not. They are leading, essentially. They are in charge. They do have that power, and they seem to be looking to somebody to say, you're limiting my power. And you go, well, you have it all. You actually have it all. And all you're trying to do now is turning it into attack as opposed to how can we make things better. Because in general, gaming journalists, anyone of I was looking at this. I was looking around going, how many actual black mainstream journalists are there in the media? Hardly any. But there are a great deal of incredibly liberal white guys, and a lot of women, and a lot of transgender individuals, all of whom are very well represented and all have a lot of power. And they seem to want to take the power from somebody that isn't there, other than their publisher or the person who owns their website, perhaps.
I wonder if part of it is because of the kind of mentality and the way that games are marketed. For decades now, we have all been kind of bombarded with messages from gaming companies that we were all at war with another portion of gaming. Like it was Nintendo versus Sega back in the day when I was a kid, and then it's like Xbox versus PlayStation, and PC versus console, and for years we've been bombarded with these kind of messages of kind of groups within groups. Oh yeah, you're a gamer, but you're not just any old gamer. You're a PC gamer, and those console gamers, they're a bunch of pricks. So I don't know. Maybe it's the way we've been kind of conditioned by the way that games and consoles, the way that gaming is marketed, that we're always kind of, or we will always have to be at war with somebody. There always has to be some sort of enemy, and we're part of a particular group, a small group, and those people that aren't in the group, well, they're the enemy, and we've got to fight against them. So maybe that's part of where this kind of mentality has come from, and that we all seem to kind of want to kind of band together in our own little groups. And at the moment, it's being used against us. It really is, and I do think it's being done very much kind of on purpose. We're all being really massively provoked at the moment by media. I mean, Anita Sarkeesian, she could do an awful lot of good if she chose to. If she seized that power, and if she actually really kind of wanted to make positive changes, if she wanted to work with developers and make positive changes to stories, to the way that games are developed, she could do that. But I don't think that's her intention.
I don't think that's her intention at all. It's her platform. It's about her money and her views. I mean, they gave her the role of gaming ambassador, yet she doesn't talk about anything but whatever's on her platform. She doesn't talk about any other problems that go on actually in gaming. And she's never found, when you want her to, when she should step up and say something, she doesn't.
No.
It's only to put up for her next video.
And the thing is too, if you look at the video from this week, usually there's a 3 to 5 month window in between her videos coming out.
Yeah.
For the most part. And you've got like 2 months between the last one and this one, and if you watch this last one, you can tell that it was rushed to finish. It wasn't as polished. Even the last one wasn't very good. Like, you can tell she's tired. You can tell she's tired from the videos. But yeah, this was a 2 month difference. Came out a month before it was supposed to. All to capitalize on the situation that's going on and everything.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
And then, but a point I wanted to touch back at this too, but I've had to keep muting my channel because I keep coughing. I'm sorry. Samantha Allen is you guys got to understand. Samantha Allen she's in and out of the industry so often that she's critical of the industry so much that she's just basically at this point waiting for somebody to hire her. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. She'll do her opinion pieces for Polygon. She'll write her little sides, her little pieces for other websites. She'll criticize them for hiring a cis white male, you know. But she's waiting for somebody to go, you're obviously oppressed enough that we need your voice on our website. And that's what she's waiting for, someone just to give her a job. Because that's what a lot of these people are doing, is they're literally just waiting for more money to come down the pipeline.
It must be rough to not be able to play that card when you look at, say, like, you know, a major indie journalism website like Indie Haven, run by a transgender person. You look at GameSpot, have Carolyn Patet. It's hard for them to then go that I'm not represented, and they go, well, actually you are. You can't play the underrepresentation card, because if you're playing that card, they can turn around and say, yeah, sorry, you are. You can't play there's no one like me. Yes, there are, I'm afraid.
Even Carolyn Pettit got fired. You know, Carolyn Pettit got fired from GameSpot a few weeks ago.
Oh, did she? I didn't see that.
Yeah, they cleaned house, and she was one of the ones who got taken out. And
incidentally, I'm going to bring Jade Fox in, mainly to maybe we can balance out the genders a bit more, and also I don't know if you guys saw her mock Kickstarter video of Anita Sarkeesian. It was quite amusing.
I got to preview it last night. It was
so did I. It was very, very funny. I'll just going to send her the link to join the conversation.
But to quickly finish up the point, though, with Sarkeesian, I said this too last year, is if she wanted to help represent females in games, she could easily take that money and invest it into a small development team to make the game that she wants to make. She did that last Princess mock-up, which was full of tropes in its own right, you know, but it would have been something. Why not go down that path? Why not practice what you preach?
It's clear that, and this is one of the biggest problems, I think, with Anita Sarkeesian, is that she has no love for games or for gaming, and it's blatantly clear that she hates every single one of us. Her videos are boring. She just sit there quacking in front of a screen, and it's clear there's no passion in anything that she says or does. It's so cold and so calculated. And if she really cared about this kind of thing, she would be championing the causes of people that are trying to get things right. I mean, when she got that award, she thanked all the women in the industry for trying to make things better, but completely ignored people like Naughty Dog, who had to fight tooth and nail to get Ellie on the front cover of The Last of Us, even though the game is pretty much, it's her story, is about her.
Yeah, it's funny actually, because they compare that to BioShock, and a lot of people say about BioShock being that I can't remember, is it Elizabeth? The NPC, who is essentially a dispensing machine. I think Matt and I discussed this before. She's basically a
dispensing machine. That's precisely what she is.
Who dances around a bit, and she's not any other than she's central to the story, but she's on the back cover. That being considered such a major thing, but at the same time, Naughty Dog didn't get the praise for ensuring Ellie was not just on the front cover, but the primary focus on that front cover. Because when they said, "I don't know, we need Joel on the front," and they turned around and said, "No, this is Ellie's story, not Joel's story. Joel is the person you are playing. The story is about Ellie, so therefore she's the primary character."
No, I would agree with that. The thing is, though, you look at something like not at The Last of Us. And, you know, the way that Druckmann kind of he says he cited Sarkeesian as reasons, you know, like part of the storytelling, as he I think for like the Left Behind DLC or something, because the game was already in production before Anita even came out with her stuff, you know. So I think like for the Last of Us, the Left Behind DLC, she was heavily I guess according to him, she heavily influenced how that story played out. Which is fine. I thought it was a well done DLC pack. You know, like it was a good little side adventure. I enjoy playing as Ellie. You know, but the thing I don't like is I don't like it now, where you have to go, instead of making it about the characters and the gameplay, which is what it should be about. We go, oh, you have a girl on your team in a prominent role. We need to obviously make that the key thing we talk about. You know, that's what it boils down to, is they're trying to, in my opinion, exploit these other people instead of just relying on their talent.
Absolutely. I'd just like to take an opportunity just to welcome Jane to the stream. She's just joined a couple of minutes ago.
Hey.
Oh, hello.
I didn't want to interrupt you guys.
So, for those of you who don't know, this is Jade. Jade Fox. She just today published a video, a parody of Anita Sarkeesian's pitch video that also references Zoe Quinn. I recommend looking at it. It is very funny.
I was so nervous. That's why I had to ask you guys' opinion before I made it public. I was really nervous it wouldn't go well.
Well, I mean, how many views have you gotten so far?
It stopped at 301.
Okay, yeah, you'll be there for a bit, and then it will.
Yeah.
If you have an iPhone, I don't know if you have an iPhone.
No, I don't have an iPhone. I don't like Apple.
I understand. I have an iPhone. That's just me. There's a YouTube creator app, and you can actually look at it, and it will tell you pretty close to what your estimates are, even after you crack 301.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I can wait though.
Yeah, I'm really addicted to getting the numbers. It's just part of my Hollywood background, so it's I have to know what they are. So it's horrible for me because I'm always looking at it like, what's it up to now? So gaming, right?
Yeah,
That's
gaming.
Going on.
Let's go back to The Last of Us.
Well, I mean, like, I've been getting told from people that Twitch, or that the whole PAX this year is just bad. You know what I mean? Like,
well, there's so much drama going on the last week, 2 weeks that I don't imagine. It's not a good week in gaming right now.
No, but I have a lot of friends who aren't involved in any of this shit that are at PAX, and they don't know anything of what's going on. So those of us who are actively involved in YouTube and Twitter and areas of social media, we're up to date on what's going on. But you have to understand, there's so many people out there.
So what's happening at PAX? I haven't been keeping up.
Oh, it's just like I don't know if there's been any. I don't think there's been a protest or anything.
I remember reading.
Journalists. Nobody's journalists at PAX apparently.
Really, they're all enthusiasts.
Was that everyone's spending 5 minutes on the panel talking about how they don't consider themselves to be journalists. That's the only bit I saw, which made me chuckle.
Really? That's all they're saying at the panels is that they're not journalists? Then why are they there?
I mean, really, that's the question that needs to be answered there.
Yeah, that's the question that needs
of it.
Why are they there? Why do we read their journals? Why do they have, I don't know. This thing is just so horrible.
Yeah, and this is a thing this has really kind of bugged me the last couple of weeks, is that those who are kind of sort of sitting on the fence, I mean, yeah, that's okay if you want to do that. But then if you choose to kind of address the issues that are happening, then address them properly. And you've got someone like Boogie. He made a video about it, and it was a reasonably good video. But the first thing he did after he posted the video was apologize to his friends at Kotaku. And it's like,
he does that every time, bless him.
But the video was basically sort of saying that you can't believe everything. You can't believe anything that you're told. Be skeptical about everything that you read. Don't believe anything. It's like, well, what the heck is the point of any of it then? What's the point of writing it?
Yeah, what's the point of who can we actually listen to, or who can we actually trust in the gaming journalism? It makes all of gaming journalism not credible at all, because who are they getting sponsored by? Who are they friends with? Should we really have to worry about that when we read an article?
Well, yeah, I think before all this, we had the problems with gaming journalism when it came to taking payouts and handouts from companies. Then we had review embargoes. Then you found out that certain, we had other journalists would step in and be buddy-buddy with those people in the company. So it was like, okay, what's going on here? And now that this has happened within the previous 2 weeks or so, now it's magnified everything. And what I find funny is that most of the industry, a majority of industry, has kept their mouth shut. Not the journalists, but over top of them, companies and such, have kept their mouths shut.
I think they have to. They don't want to get involved in a fight that, the way they see it, it doesn't involve them. These people,
But
it
And they
does
could get
involve
fired
them.
for
It
it.
does involve them, obviously.
But
But
if you think about it though, how many times has the industry stepped up on the behalf of us, the consumer? Like I said, when we were being called killers and rapists and stuff, you didn't see many people step in and say, "Wait a minute, you're going too far." Our industry isn't like that.
They did, and then they got banned, or their posts got deleted, or modded, or something like that.
No, I
I
mean
know,
like going
yeah.
on a show. Like
Yeah, because this is the thing. Developers are turning around, like indie and small-time developers are turning around and saying, we want to comment on this, but we can't because we'll be out of a job. And that's wrong. That is bad. That is very,
I've
very
had those
bad.
messages. I've had quite a few of those messages when I've asked people to join in the conversation. One, even the journalists. There are a small number of journalists that I talk to and that I like, and the ones that I've reached out to discuss about it. Most of them have just been very much like, I can't talk about this. Not talking about this. And
I wonder if their boss. Yeah.
and developers doing so because they know it will destroy their opportunity to be part of the in crowd. And it's a problem. It's a problem with all forms of cliquism that this is what happens. And especially when essentially the leading voices with regards to gaming journalism are focusing exclusively on, as I mentioned earlier, the kind of art house kind of games, which are all well and good. Art house games are fine. They have a right to exist. You can argue whether they're proper games or competitive, all you like, but they get so much prominence as opposed to people who just want to make a fun game and they want to do it with their limited resources and they make an independent game. Those games get just ignored.
It does definitely show how quickly the trends have swung. Like even just like as a year ago, indie gaming didn't really exist in terms of in the mainstream gaming media. Indie gaming, there was no real such thing, and then all of a sudden they recognised that there was a trend. Things like Amnesia got popular, the first one, and then it's boom. That's all you hear about now is the smaller games. Suddenly AAA is not really fashionable anymore.
Because it's cool to be hipster, and a lot of YouTubers, big YouTubers, play a lot of indie games, and I think YouTube helped push the indie game scene. And you know, I like indie games because they're really cheap on Steam. That's one of the main reasons.
Well, when you look at one of the biggest games at the moment that everybody's talking about on YouTube at the moment, which is Five Nights at Freddy's, and that is everywhere at the moment.
yeah, it is. It is.
I have no idea what the hell it is, but I've been
All I
getting
can tell is it seems to be designed to be YouTube bait. It's intentionally designed. I think that's a term that Total Biscuit coined. It's basically saying YouTuber bait. It's designed for people to shout and scream and overact and record their videos.
Yeah, it's designed for montages basically, for scare montages. It's a fun looking game, if a bit basic, but yeah, that's basically what it is designed for. You can see, and it's fun to watch videos of people, you know, being scared if you like those kind of videos. But it's everywhere at the moment. That particular game.
What I find funny, for all of what they deem to be popular, if say the like of PewDiePie plays a game, those games become popular, but they talk about that. They don't talk about the context of their sales in relation to things like AAA games, because they're peanuts, and they know they're peanuts. The sales for Amnesia were great for an indie game. You compare the amount of profit that was made off A Dark Descent on the back of, say, PewDiePie and it becoming such a major deal. You compare that to just what any given Madden or FIFA or Call of Duty make every year. It's nowhere near. Ultimately, it's not the in thing. The in thing really is not to be a serious gamer. Is just to be a kid who picks up a copy of Madden every year. That's what the majority of gamers do.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. If you have noticed, even people who play Call of Duty all the time, most of those commentators have already said, if it wasn't for YouTube, if it wasn't for the money they were making, they wouldn't even be playing video games.
Yeah. I have to respect someone like El Preso, who at least actually comes out there and says, I make those videos because they make me money.
Yep. He comes straight up and tell you.
And then we'll say, oh, I'm not going to make another one. I'll tell you what, I'll upload some old montages and you'll watch them and I'll make some money off them.
And they do it.
And that's another thing.
Truth, right?
So he's an incredibly artful troll. He really, really is.
He is.
He's got some
But
good
that's
knowledge.
the thing. Like what Matt said, where are the bigger YouTubers? And that's another thing. Maybe that is part of what's being conditioned. As we've talked about, well, developers really don't want to say much because they don't want to be, shunned out of that in crowd. Maybe that's the same thing with the big YouTubers. They don't want to be looked at and say, oh, we can be blacklisted out of being actual journalists. We can actually take a step forward. I mean, Angry
I also
Joe
think people don't want to be
said,
journalists. There's a fine line between journalist and entertainer, right? Like a lot of the bigger YouTubers, yeah, I called them out and I still stand by that. But I understand, like, some people sent me some comments saying, like, we don't want to get involved. Like essentially saying that, like, we don't want to get involved because they've got their own meal ticket right now. I get that.
They don't want to jeopardize it.
They don't want to jeopardize it, and I get that. But at the same time, when this community that you're a part of, that people look up to you, people respect what you have to say, they watch you, you make a living doing this. Like, isn't it within your best interest to try to like work towards the betterment of it? Like, you look at people like let's say Matt Lees, for example. And the reason why I bring him up is somebody just tweeted me that I now have more YouTube subscribers than him, so I feel that's a win.
Yeah, I saw that tweet.
That's an automatic win. Yeah.
It's an automatic win. Plus my hair. Oh my God, that hair.
That pineapple. Yeah, we know.
I can't even do it. I just can't. I can't. Anyway, it's like he's the kind of guy that like blocks comments while saying like, let's have a discussion about. You know what I mean? Like,
you can't discuss anything with him. Yeah. It's.
And then even Anita Sarkeesian says, well, we've been raising the discussion. She uses the term discussion in some of her videos.
All her comments are disabled.
Are disabled. Can't discuss anything with her. Can't even get a valid response out of her via Twitter. I mean, like, the only way anyone is ever going to get a valid response out of her for anything is to, like, basically, like, shotgun surprise her in the street. Not recommending that. Not saying
don't do that.
I'm really saying, like, gotcha journalism is probably the only way you're going to get a valid response out of her over anything. But hiding behind a wall of silence, like hiding behind that wall of like no comments, and this even goes to like some of the larger YouTube channels, where I understand comments can be toxic. I understand comments can be not the best place to hang out and still feel good about yourself as a human. But there's, I think that they need to be there. People need to have the ability to express themselves. And when you take that ability away, and then you basically say the reason for that is because some of you are assholes and I don't want to deal with it, it really causes this like disparity between the user and the critic, because we shouldn't let that go like unchallenged. But so many people are like, YouTube comments suck, I don't want to comment anyway until I want to, and then I'm going to get upset.
But the thing about YouTube comments is that, like, a lot of the comments are retarded, even on positive videos. I don't understand. They'll just be like, haven't you guys seen YouTube comments where they're talking about religion or like something totally irrelevant to the actual video? There are comments like that. I can understand like why she might feel the need to not respond. I just don't know why she disables it completely. Because yeah.
Or if you're gonna disable the YouTube comments, have the discussion somewhere else. Have them on Twitter or on Facebook or something like that. If you feel that, I mean, to be fair to Matt Lees, he did make a slightly valid point in that, in particular, if you are a larger YouTuber or even just a medium-sized YouTuber, you may not always want to engage in discussion with people when they kind of question you or when they talk to you, when they tweet you, because you've had the same discussion 50 times already that day.
Yeah,
I think you might overstate his popularity a bit. If he's anywhere near that scale, that he can't possibly either ignore a few comments and just occasionally just go, I'm not talking about this, or I've already talked about this, or just ignore it completely. He's not got 10 million subscribers. He's got 20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. In his video, he said, since he's working with 20,000, he said in his video that when he was trying to make a living, in his Patreon video, he talked about how 10,000 views is nothing. And me and Priyan were like, wait a minute, 10,000 views and 10,000 subs, you just pretty much cut half of your fan base and told them that they don't matter.
Yeah.
Like,
Wait, I'm sorry, I
me-
kind of cut out for a second. Who are we talking about?
Oh, Matt
Matt
Lee
Lee.
still.
Oh, okay,
Like-
sorry.
like
I heard
Prion's
Matt
video-
and then Patreon. I'm going like, wait, what did I do?
Yeah, no. Matt Lee, Prion's
We're
video on
talking
Matt
behind
Lee
your back.
was pretty. It was pretty surgical the way he put him. The way he took him apart, and the fact that he just disrespected half of his viewership, was ridiculous.
If I could
I
just
can't
comment,
live
I'm
on the
just
money
gonna-
I make
just go through his
legitimately.
previous
All of you
videos.
need to pay for me to live.
Listen, okay, so 10,000 views is nothing. Going through his previous videos, 740, 2,000. Oh, 10,000 there. That was the one where everyone got pissed off with him. Can we just talk about games? 4,000, 6,000, 6,000, 7,000, 5,000. Oh, 13,000, 6, 4. So none of these videos matter. A couple of these videos matter. The rest is all pointless shit. By his own. Even if it makes 10, it's still worthless. Well, his most popular video that he's made in the last couple of weeks made 10,000. Last 3 weeks has got 10,000 views. So all your content is essentially worthless by your own admission.
Exactly.
Why would you open your goddamn mouth and make that kind of thing? I actually was working on an impression of him earlier. Just pissed me off.
I don't get, though,
It
with
pissed
these
me off
people
so much.
is how they can expect, like, how they can go. Okay, like, I've got a Patreon. I make a little bit of money on it. It's more for if people want to. I don't push it really, and whatever, But like, there are people out there that are like straight up like e-begging constantly for it. Rebecca Watson, Zoe Quinn, Matt Lees. It's like, oh, I don't make enough money off of YouTube, but I've got like 100,000 subscribers. I might as well move over to fucking, to fucking Patreon to try to get a little bit more out of that.
I didn't.
I've got to get me a Patreon.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know what it was.
I will say that since this whole shit started, my Patreon has doubled. I went from like $20 a month to I think I'm now like maybe 47 or something. Right? And it's like I'm like, you know what? I was false DMCA'd. I'm the victim here. You don't need to give me money. Like, I even said to him, like, if you want to give me money or something for being victimized here, why don't you donate it to charity? Just donate to charity. I don't give a shit what charity. Give it to a good charity. I'm not gonna like sit here and fucking play the victim card over something that was like blatant censorship. Even regardless of the fact that it was removed a couple of days later, it still happened.
It was absolutely
like,
horrible.
And ask people for fucking money. It's like bullshit. Like, I make money on YouTube. Yes, I'm open about that. I've been very, very transparent about that. I talk to people about that shit.
Some money,
but it's not my entire existence, and it's not like I'm not going to come to you and go, why aren't you giving me money to entertain you?
Do you know, this is a good point to just stick another boot into Matt Lee's if we fancy doing so. One of the reasons that he came to my attention is I actually made a video supporting him because the FIFA gameplay YouTuber KSI, and you guys might mostly remember him from being involved in that motorboat controversy, where he was motivating people in an event. Matt Lee's made a video saying I don't think Microsoft should employ him as a children, essentially as an entertainer, as a spokesperson because he's not particularly family friendly. I thought he had a fair point to say that he could say that, and KSI DMCA'd him for saying, I think he mentioned some comment about punching him in the face or something, but generally the video in itself was saying he's not really family brand friendly. Microsoft should know better and be hiring an actual squeaky clean family entertainer as opposed to somebody who is popular with teenagers. And that was a fair enough point, and I made a video supporting that Matt Lee should not have been DMCA'd by KSI over criticising him, because KSI then lost the endorsement job. Microsoft withdrew the endorsement. And I made a video, in my video I mentioned that I thought it was unfair, and that granted Microsoft should know their market, and if they're looking for the market towards teenagers, KSI is perfect. If they want to market towards home entertainment hub, central hub for the entire household, then maybe he's not appropriate, but equally he should not have been DMCAing people because he felt criticised. And then the fact that he is coming out on the side, he hasn't even mentioned, I haven't seen him mention a single thing going, oh, this seems to all occurred over a DMCA. Hypocritical little fucking mop-headed turd. Didn't mention a single thing that the whole situation occurred over a DMCA. A DMCA that the gaming community ultimately rallied behind him and supported him in that. And he couldn't care less because he'd rather just push the rhetoric that it's about sexism, when it's got nothing to do with goddamn sexism. It's got to do with being patronised, talked down to, and ultimately because we feel manipulated, because we feel that our media outlets are literally and figuratively in bed with people that they're providing coverage to.
Yeah, this is something I've said to people when they've talked about it, is that with the whole Zoe Quinn thing, is that we need to kind of stop talking about individuals. And I can understand one of the Kotaku and Polygon and the gaming media, they ignored this for so long. And it occurred to me that it's like, well, they kind of left Zoe to kind of deal with this on her own and to bear the brunt of this, because we weren't getting any answers from gaming media. They were just telling us we're all sexist and we're all terrorists. So a lot of people went to her because they wanted answers. So in essence, they kind of threw her to the wolves and ran for it with that. And then they've got the nerve to tell us that we're all sexist and that we're making her life miserable. It's like, well, you could have made things easier for her if you'd actually addressed the concerns that most of us had in the first place. You could have stopped that.
Yeah, Kotaku and Polygon has straight away come out and said, okay, it appears that a number of our writers and editorial staff have a pre-existing personal relationship with a subject of some of their articles. We apologise and will have a transparent system in order to ensure that no conflict of interest takes place. None of this would have happened.
None of it.
No.
And the problem is that they want it. I feel very much like people wanted it to happen. They wanted to spark this argument of decent people versus gamer scum. There's this whole argument. I mean, and again, I think Matt Lees' video encapsulates it perfectly, not because he's right, but because he's exactly an example of what the fuck is wrong. I saw him in his video say that no women like to play action and shooting games. I made him saying that if you discuss poor industry practices and don't talk openly about harassment and sexism, you can fuck off and you're not welcome. He actually said that to people who decide to be a consumer advocate. You can fuck off unless you're going to talk about a pro-feminist agenda. Well, fuck you, you mop-headed prick. Keep growing out your hair. Keep growing out the hair so we can obscure your enormous fucking nose, you ostrich-faced prick. It's just, fuck you.
Is it just me? I have to say this though. Matt Lees looks a lot like Wallace from fucking Wallace and Gromit.
He does.
Like just the way his mind is like that, and he has that constantly confused look on his face.
I've been thinking about possibly making a video just to mock the way that he kind of just likes to whisper very quietly with a couple of egg cups on his wall and try to be deep and really jump cut.
You hate him so much.
Very pointless
God,
and uninteresting video.
Hey guys, I gotta go.
Just fuck off.
Oh, you gotta go?
You gotta run? Okay. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
I do want to say this one thing though. First off, Matt Lee should be ashamed of himself for what he's said or what he's done. He's desperate when you have to wear a dress in video just to get views. He has a video doing that, where he just wears a red dress and just starts cursing out of a storm out of nowhere. That's
Was it a pretty dress at least?
I don't know. He was sitting down wearing it. About Zoe Quinn. First off, I put it like this. A lot of people like to say, it's her personal business, but when you do specific things like that, that affect you affect actual business and the way you work. People in real life would have been fired by now, because companies would not put up with that whatsoever.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if I was sleeping with someone in the finance department, I'd lose my job if I hadn't disclosed it. It's simple as that.
But yet nobody has been fired yet in all of this. That's the sad part. So
I just have to point out that the comment section has discussed people are listing reasons why slavery could be considered positive by some people.
What?
Well,
Okay.
I made a throwaway
Why
comment
would
earlier
slavery
about
at
no
all be
slavery.
positive?
I made a throwaway comment ages ago about no slave would talk about positively about their experience as a slave. So somebody's asked, why would anyone say anything positive about slavery? I responded because someone would say because it's cheap labour, but then a load of people are just replying about this is what slavery was used for. Jesus Christ! I did not intend this to be a pro-slavery stream. I was just making a comment.
Well, with that
that's
said,
just your British imperialist heritage
with that
talk.
said, I'm done.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, Event. It was good to
No
have you.
problem. You guys and girls, you have a good night and a good day, all right?
Take care.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
See ya.
What were we talking about?
Slavery.
I have no idea.
Going off. This is the pro-slavery podcast, everybody.
That's what we're talking about?
Coming to you every Friday on YouTube. Pro-slavery, everybody. No. Slavery's
But yeah, I think we were saying obviously, the Event made the fair point about Zoe Quinn, and it all comes back to this situation that I think that we all as gamers, we all need to agree. It's not about the
Sleeping
fact
around.
Zoe
It's
Quinn,
not
her
about
sleeping around. She can fuck who she wants in regards to her personal, however she has to be accountable if she does something entirely unethical business-wise. Matt and I discussed this before. I don't care who she fucks. It's not her responsibility to be ethical. It's the journalist's responsibility to be ethical. The journalists who slept with her should have been more ethical. They should not have been, and there's also, journalists should not be financially supporting artists. They shouldn't be sleeping with artists and then providing them with coverage.
Yeah.
Artists.
Yes, they are.
I think it comes back to
Did you guys
censorship.
notice that Patricia Hernandez blocked off her Twitter?
Who?
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
blocked for Twitter.
Patricia Hernandez is another writer for Kotaku, who basically during the course of this whole thing, it came out that she was living with, probably sleeping with, and dating game developers, and then writing about them for Kotaku.
Man, Kotaku's so fucking retarded. Why would anyone even go to Kotaku after this?
Well, I gotta give some credit to Totillo for stepping up his game a little bit, and at least attempting to cover some issues.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not what we all wanted. It's not. It is not. However, it is a step in the right direction, and we can't let off of it. Like, it was definitely a move that was meant to placate the masses, but it's something that at the same time we should really just, acknowledge that it was a good move. Polygon, on the other hand, was like, well, at least they got to disclose it. I'm like, not as good, but,
Okay.
I'm still not going to read their shit. I fucking hate Polygon. I think they suck.
I don't know. I think it goes back to the Streisand Effect. Because I didn't know about any of this until, the posts on Reddit on our gaming, got censored, where I only saw deleted comment after deleted comment, and I wouldn't even have gotten into this, or now, because, people are trying to cover it up, these gaming journalists, they're not talking about it. They made it a way bigger issue than it should have been. If I learned that, this girl slept around, she manipulated, game developers and the market and all that stuff, I wouldn't really have cared until, the censorship. And then, I watched the video by Internet Aristocrat, and I just holy shit, what the fuck is going on?
It's this whole thing is broken down to the fact that if Zoe Quinn would not have done anything and just let it blow over. Now, granted, it wouldn't have blown over a couple days later.
On our gaming, got censored, where I only
Somebody just refreshed the screen there.
Echo.
All right.
Is somebody playing the YouTube video?
Yeah, sorry, I think that was me.
Yeah, best put the mute on to get the comments.
You're messing up my flow here, Angela. Messing up my flow. Okay.
My bad.
See, you're a feminist. I'm an anti-feminist. Obviously, no, I'm kidding. So no. It's like the thing is though. Internet Aristocrat was going to do a video about this. A lot of people were going to do videos about this particular post. So the fallout from ignoring it was not going to be super minimal. Okay, so we got to get that out of the way. There was a tidal wave coming of information. People were going to talk about this. Had they just not ignored it and not played it up and not tried to pull the victim mentality role as often, it would have kind of blown over in a couple of days. right?
Yeah. Yes, it
But
would have just blown over in a couple of
It
days.
just would have blown over. People would have talked about it. It would have done its thing. It would have moved on. You know what I mean? And then you've got the active attempts at censorship and all the other things that have gone on, and the fact that like nobody has been terminated from their jobs. Like as far as I know, the Reddit, our gaming moderator
Chupa
is
fuckface.
El Chupadore or some shit. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
he's
like
is he
Chupa
still
tomorrow.
moderating that? Because like he.
Yeah, I remember reading a comment why they won't get rid of him. He's like, he's the most second senior mod there. Why would they get rid of him?
So motherfucker's got tenure. That's what it is.
Yeah, he's got tenure or something like that. He's like the second most powerful mod. That's why they won't get rid of him, and that's why all the other mods can't do nothing about it. And apparently they got rid of one mod. I think there's like some sort of drama between all the our gaming mods right now. So they got rid of one guy.
Yeah, he's a mod from our games. I think his name is Xavier Mendel.
Yeah, something like that. That's I just heard about it.
There is only one king of the mods, and that is Sting. That is all I have to say.
Show your age now.
I have to pull a Quadrophenia reference. I'm not even sure that film was even released outside the UK. It's just a stony song.
Which movie?
Quadrophenia.
I've never heard of it.
That never made it outside. I don't think that ever made it outside the UK. That's only something for people over the age of about 27 and live in the UK would find that reference funny.
Someone told me not to say retarded.
That's retarded.
I've had that I've had this situation. I try and censor myself from that word mainly because one time I made a video calling somebody out for using the N word in the way that I know that a black guy who I know literally went, that's not on. Don't say that to me. And he went, and then he started playing, I can say it if I want, I don't mean it offensively. And he's like, well, I'm taking it offensively. I'm black and I take this offensively. And he carried on. Then he made a video why it was okay for him to say it as a white guy to say it. And I just remembered I made a video going saying, dude, just for fuck's sake, don't. You say what you like, but at the same time, when you find yourself in a situation where you say that and a black guy turns to you and says, the fuck did you just say? You should probably backpedal and apologize and say, sorry. I don't mean any offense. Not, it's okay for me to say it. It's like, I made the comment of saying I'm aware that I say retarded a lot, and I said I admit that I shouldn't say retarded, so I've tried to avoid saying it in the context of an insult, but that's only because I'm trying to stick to my guns. It's something that comes out regularly, and I'm sure that that it's going to get to a generation or so, and people are going to think I'm the most horrible, vile, ableist person, because now a lot of language that was perfectly appropriate 10, 20, 30 years ago is now absolutely taboo.
I don't understand how everyone is so oversensitive about everything. Oh, if you don't agree with me, you're a sexist. Oh, if you say retarded, then you obviously must hate mentally challenged people. It's just until what point where we can't even say anything without offending anyone.
Well, okay, let's just quickly look at the definition of the word retarded. It's less advanced in mental, physical, or social development than is usual for one's age. So I believe that to describe a lot of these people as retarded is apt and appropriate, because they are, in fact, retarded, not mentally retarded, because there is the difference. Also, it's fun to call them retarded.
Although, funny if anything, because you can turn and go, actually, to be fair, you've got no excuse to be behaving this way, so actually calling you retarded gives you an out. You don't have an out.
It also says here that it can also be construed as very foolish or stupid. Again, appropriate term.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's where idiocy comes from. Comes from the naming of people with mental disabilities. That's where it comes from.
So what you're saying is it's ableist. What you're saying is the word idiot is ableist.
Yeah. Stupid and idiot are technically ableist. I'm an SJW in disguise.
Do you want to know why this shit's going down the way it's going down right now? It's because of this exact conversation right here. You're mocking this terminology because it's so, who the fuck made you the sensitivity police? All right?
Exactly the thing.
At what point in time did you wake up in the morning and just go, man, god damn it, there are so many shitlords out there. I have got to put on my anti-shitlord badge and then go and take them out. Like,
how
it's
could
just,
you use the phrase shitlord and claim political correctness? You fucking
Right?
Dice scum
Or
shitlord.
scum.
Fuck me, how do you play
I'm like,
that
oh, I'm
card?
sorry, I identify with the as the sex I was born as. Apparently, that makes me a monster.
That
It's what's
definitely a
frustrating because
monster.
I know some people, I know some transgender individuals, and they're lovely human beings, and they don't have this bitter angriness. It seems to really be pervasive with regards to certain people who are in the media. They're so fucking bitter.
Here's the thing too, and I've said this before: is all of these people live and operate in and around San Francisco. All right.
Really?
I believe
All from San Fran?
Pretty much, yeah. Look it up where all like IGN, GameSpot, Polygon, Giant Bomb. Look at where all of these fuckers live, and it's all in goddamn San Francisco. And San Francisco is the most liberal fucking city in the United States.
Basically,
it's a very
the
pretty
hipster
city.
capital.
You know, I've been there a number of times. It's a very pretty city. My favorite thing was I saw this very flaming homosexual man with a gigantic American flag and eagle tattooed on the side of his head. I felt very patriotic for that. And then I saw him make out with another guy, and I'm like, all right, dude, like, cool, good for you. Like, I don't care. I don't care who you are attracted to, provided it's not like infant children. But there's that's the thing, is like they come from this area that's very, very liberal, very.
And if you say
hippie-ish.
anything, yeah.
And
just
you have to
remotely.
And then it becomes this echo chamber of who these people believe that they are. But yet, they got some pretty degenerate strip clubs there. Don't ask me how I know. But it's
how do you know?
I've been.
Tell me this degenerate strip club.
I've been in degenerate strip clubs all over. You know what? It's on my bucket list. But the point is, they all kind of operate in one area. They all live in one area. And they all know each other. They're all friends with each other.
Basically a hive mind.
It is. It becomes a hive mind. And if you speak out, and then the indie game development scene moved to San Francisco as well, which makes sense. You go near the food source. It's true. Granted, you got Silicon Valley right there, okay, which is another element of that. The venture capitalist area, you got all that stuff. But then you've also got the indie game devs live next to the game journalists, right? So the food source I'm referring to is press. If they have these little events and these press show up, then you've got kind of a good way to talk to these people in an environment that is natural to them. In this case, it'd be their hive mind little area. And then these people all become buddy-buddy. They all start hanging out. They start going on each other's podcasts. They start
fucking each other, yeah.
Talking, hanging out, maybe circle jerking a little bit. And then you get to the situation we're at right now because it happened probably it probably happened so naturally that no one ever saw it coming, right? Which if you look at the response of these people, they're genuinely just I don't get why people are mad. You know what I mean? It's almost like they're just really just I don't get it. I just don't understand it because they've never had to think about it before. And this happens when people you get those people that when they're approaching something, when they're hit with these altering opinions, differing opinions, and that may or may not be right. Let's face it, we're not always 100% correct all of the time, and so they're being challenged, and that challenge is then going against the hive mind, and the hive mind is saying no, we've done nothing wrong. We've done we're all friends here. It's all one big happy family. Right? And then they're acting out, they're lashing out because they simply don't know how to process this information. They've never experienced it before.
And then they demonize people who are different from them, basically.
Yeah, well, it's like I posted on my Tumblr yesterday. You've got these people that in the last week I've being called a misogynist, a sexist, and a terrorist.
Terrorist. You were compared to ISIS.
That's my favorite thing,
funny.
is being called a terrorist, apparently. And you've got all this stuff, and then you've got, it's I've never at any point been any of these things, and you're trying to dehumanize the enemy, and they operate in the Twitter sphere, which the Twitter sphere starts off as being this big, VC venture capital situation where you've got a large number, I think more women use Twitter than men, is the last I checked. And so they talk to each other all through there. You get some guys that are very much the anti-feminist crowd that come on in, and that don't know how to construct their arguments in a way outside of cool story, babe. Now go make me a sandwich. And I hate those guys. I hate when they wear those shirts in public, and I hate that Walmart actually sells those shirts. I've seen them twice in the past couple
because
weeks.
Walmart is just like, they have the highest morals ever and everything.
Oh, obviously.
Obviously.
But the point is that you've got, like, this echo chamber on Twitter, and like, I was watching, like, here's the thing, too. Like, you got Will Wheaton being, like, one of the biggest bitches on the planet over this shit.
How is Will Wheaton a celebrity? I don't understand. This is obviously,
because he was.
I know he was in Next Generation, but why is he a celebrity? Why have you made him? I'm blaming Americans for this. Why have you made him a geek culture celebrity?
Here's the thing. I'll tell you the story.
Damn it, Wesley.
Of Will Wheaton. So yeah, he was on Star Trek for a couple years. He quit Star Trek because he wanted to go pursue his film career. Thinking it would take off. Yeah,
that's fucking hilarious.
It's like, okay, dude, okay, you did Stand By Me. It's a great movie. Okay, then you were Wesley Crusher, and I'll admit that when I played Star Trek Next Generation with my friends when I was a kid, I was always Wesley Crusher because I always liked Wesley and everything. And then he kind of disappears for a few years. Then he comes back, and he's on. I met him in 2000 at Comic-Con. There was a booth there for the fandom.com website, which was like basically kind of like a big hub for fandoms. And he moderated a movie trivia panel. And I was only 18 at the time, and I ended up kicking the shit out of every other panel, the person they had on their panel of experts. I know my movie trivia. I'm good shit. But the next year, I ran into him again. And
just American movies, or like?
Hollywood.
Well,
okay. British cinema.
If I start talking about Korean movies, you wouldn't know anything, right?
I've seen Old Boy.
Old Boy is good. Have you seen
Old Boy?
Devil? Whatchamacallit? Same creator of Old Boy though.
We'll look that up. Lady Vengeance is good.
No, I haven't. I'm not entirely up to date on my Eastern.
I saw The Devil.
Or my Asian cinema. It's not the one like the mom like goes after the dude that like killed her kid.
No. Like I saw The Devil is the one where his wife dies and he goes and tries to torture the guy who killed his wife.
Oh, okay. That should be interesting. That guy makes some dark fucking twisted movies, which is awesome. Yeah, so the thing is like Will Wheaton recognized me from like the year before. Just keep in mind, at Comic-Con in 2000.
That's how many times he gets name checked in public.
Well, no. At this point, Will Wheaton he was up in the sales pavilion, which is like the autograph place. And so the point I'm trying to get to is he gave me a flyer for his blog. He was running a blog. This is in 2001. Blogs were not a big thing back then.
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
And so the story of Will Wheaton boils down to the fact that he happened to be at the right place at the right time with the right technology, being you could say a household name, because who didn't watch TNG when they were younger? Everyone was watching TNG. Still a fucking awesome show. And so they all knew him, and you got a celebrity, I'm air quoting that obviously, who's embracing social media before it was called social media, and he was one of the first Twitter users as well. So when Twitter got around in like 06, I believe, 06, 07, he was one of the first people to jump on Twitter. And then like Ashton Kutcher jumped on Twitter and a bunch of other people jumped on Twitter, which then legitimized Twitter. And when Twitter was legitimized, people were like, oh shit, Will Wheaton's on here. I have my choice. There's Ashton Kutcher or Will Wheaton. Who's less of a douche to follow? At the time it was Will Wheaton. Now it's actually not. And so people started following him there, and that's how we started. And then also, Twitter was promoting his account. When you sign up for a new Twitter account, it's like, oh, who do you want to follow? And back when Twitter first started, it was very much like Will Wheaton was at the top of like all the recommended lists, because he had openly embraced the platform and he had a number of followers. So as he progressed up the ranks, more and more people just started following him. Like they go, oh, I know who he is. yeah, okay, I'll follow him. And he got famous almost just kind of like by accident. And that's been the progression, and then his mindset has just gone fucking crazy. Yeah. I think because he teamed up with before again. There's a group of people called Mediocre Films on YouTube. They made a show called The Gorgeous Tiny Chicken Machine Show, and it was actually my buddy up in LA. He worked on a few episodes of that. Like the guy who does Mediocre Films. I've gone to barbecues with him. I've gone to birthday parties with him. We know each other kind of like through associates. We've talked about YouTube on several occasions, but like he wouldn't know me by name or nothing. And so you've got like he ended up meeting Will Wheaton through I think because he knows Felicia Day because he worked on the first season of The Guild and they kind of all know each other. And then he brought Will Wheaton on to the Gorgeous Tiny Chicken Machine Show back in like '08, before a lot of this shit blew up, and helped kind of put Will Wheaton back on the map. And then as YouTube personalities started getting bigger and Twitter started getting bigger, they all kind of started working together because here you've got people like Will Wheaton, who is in fact a home name, in certain circles, is legitimizing these people's projects and putting them out on, on YouTube. And this is before all the partnership shit kicked off. This is before people were making serious cash with YouTube. So it's just this gradual progression that you look at. And it's kind of like I've said, I've kind of been like, I've not been directly involved, but I've been sitting on the sidelines for so long that I just know a lot of these people, and I just see how it works. And believe me, I have tried getting my way in a couple times. I'm like, no, you need me to work on your shit? Yeah, I'll totally come work on your shit for free, dude. No problem.
All I have to say is you motherfuckers give a little and take a little. For every Bruce Campbell, you give us a Will Wheaton. Fuck you very much.
Well, with Will Wheaton as well was that he put videos of himself playing Dungeons and Dragons as well. Automatically got the Dungeons and Dragons crowd because it's like, oh my god, there's a semi-famous person.
Oh my god, know what a mind flayer is.
No, but you see,
I even know it's an illithid.
It's all about legitimization. That's all it is. It's all about taking a medium that we've all enjoyed for the majority of our lives and legitimizing it in pop culture and then putting it out there. So if you want to talk about people being mad at newcomers coming in, look at the people that are flocking to Will Wheaton, these like faux hipster nerds, right? Like, here's the thing. I'm moving to Portland, Oregon in a few months. I grew up in Portland. I love Portland. I know that it's a social justice warrior hotbed, and I'm probably going to get shot in the first year of being there because I'm going to piss off some of these people. I simply don't care. Like, it's just, like, these mindsets are ridiculous. That's why I love Portlandia, because it mocks these people just to, like, perfection, in my opinion, of how these people operate. They live in this vacuum, in this bubble, where there's no dissent or no discourse, because if you try, you're obviously just an asshole.
The funny thing is about these guys is like they don't like actually do any work. Like, I don't really see them, like in Africa helping some kid, or going to India to stop the sex trade slave, or anything like that. I don't really hear about them doing that kind of stuff. Or
are you referring to Will Wheaton or social justice
live streaming it? No, I don't know.
Just to double check, you're not talking about YouTube celebrities. You're talking about social justice warriors.
Yeah, I'm talking about social justice warriors.
Just I was like, Will Wheaton has not built a well in Uganda.
Well, I mean, he might.
Why has he not? Why has he not?
True. If you're going to be smug, at least there's something to be fucking smug about. That's generally the thing. It's one of the reasons that
campaign sorted.
It's one of the reasons that I suppose that Reption gets a lot of stick that he does on YouTube, is because people feel that he was milking the fact that he went to Africa for a few weeks for charity, which is a positive thing. That shouldn't be necessarily, I don't think, a reason to dislike the guy. Obviously, he may well be smug about it, but at least he did it.
Yeah, that's more than
what I love though is after that there was a running gag amongst a lot of YouTubers that was just like, you would go to live streams or live hangouts and he would open up like, hey everyone, I went to Africa. And then they respond, I went to Africa too.
Have your cake. I've been to Kenya. I was on holiday though.
And now it's moved on to I'm nodding respectfully towards you.
Which is when you introduced me to that meme, that just made my day. That is a fantastic nothing respectfully. That is just the ultimate fucking bullshit. Just these shit-munching motherfuckers come along and just... Oh god, I fucking hate hipsters. I'm sorry, I just do.
And that guy's Twitter account is now gone underground.
Nodding respectfully towards you. I tip my not fedora to you, sir.
Yeah.
None of these people wear fedora. I know this has been mentioned before, but none of these hipsters actually wear fedoras. They're trilbies.
No, they're just, there's a lot of photos you'll find on like I think it's like atheism boards or something of these dudes that are like, I'm euphoric with my atheism, and like they all wear fedoras and shit, but they're not really wearing fedoras. They're rocking trilbies. So because there's an absolute difference between a fedora, because Indiana Jones wears a fedora, hipster douchebag asshole wears a trilby. And I have worn a trilby. I have one around here somewhere. I don't wear it anymore, but I thought it looked good on me at the time. But this was also 2007, before it became cliche. But I still want an Indiana Jones fedora.
I saw a 3-year-old wearing a fedora the other day. Just like throwing that out there. It's just like, why this little tiny little kid wearing a fedora?
Now, I've seen some small children in fedoras. In fact, the other day I tweeted out. I don't know if you guys. In fact, I know that Jade, you weren't on my Twitter at the time, but
yeah,
I was tweeting out about this. I was in a town called Henley in the UK. It's quite a posh town, and I was in there just sort of shopping around, and I saw there was some kind of retro festival, and I saw a load of like 45-year-old men with small children with like checkered shorts and trilbies on, and I was just like, I want to kill every last one of them. Until I saw one guy, a 50-odd-year-old, really fat, bald guy in non-matching neon Crocs. One was orange, one was green. I wanted to have him fucking killed.
I have to ask the question though. I've seen Crocs. I hear they're insanely comfortable.
They are so amazing.
I have not picked a pair up because of the public ridicule I know I'll receive. That being said, are they as comfortable as they look? Because they do.
They are so comfortable.
They do make you look like you have Mickey Mouse's feet, though.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck, dude. I wear sandals all the time.
It's not for fashion. It's just for comfort.
Oh, here's the thing. I'll tell you this. I wear sandals so often in SoCal that like when I go back home to visit my friends and family up in Oregon, I kick off my shoes or I take off my shoes or whatever. They see my feet and they see the tan line from the sandals. It's like a few shades darker where like the sandals aren't, and they go like, "Wow, you really do live in Southern California." I'm like, I really hate the shoes. You know, like I've actually, this is gonna sound bad. I've recently discovered the awesomeness of golf shorts, of performance shorts. Like, I'm not wearing anything else ever again. They're like just lightweight and comfortable.
There is no hope for you. None.
I don't even give a fuck. I will wear like the most ridiculous pair of golf shorts because they're so comfortable. I don't even give a shit. I probably shouldn't have said that out loud.
Watch your new like 10,000 subscribers all fucking duck and
I'll just lose to like, oh my god, Matt,
shit, he wears golf shorts.
Unsubscribe.
He owns a trilby. He owns a trilby.
I will say though, the rocking the trilby was all in an attempt to like, at the time, I was hanging out with this guy who was a really big pickup artist, right? Really big into the whole game. And that was like his way of trying to like help me get game to get women.
I can see why you go to strip clubs.
I don't want to laugh. I just love the fact that
here's the thing too.
Start laughing.
You guys can laugh all you want. It was fucking hysterical. But the truth of the matter is, I was hanging out with that guy because he was teaching me about the game. I was also reading the books because he's a filmmaker, I'm a filmmaker, and I was writing a screenplay based on one of his ideas, and that was a lot of what was encompassed in that. And so, you know what? I mean, we can laugh about it now, but I was telling this to these guys earlier. That screenplay is getting made in the UK next year. So there's a go-ahead on that. So I will have taken the embarrassment of wearing a trilby in public because I know that a movie is going to get made as a result of that. So I'm cool with that shit. Plus, it was like 7 fucking years ago.
You're taking notes. The way to a woman's heart and a movie career is through magic of trilbies.
Yes. Okay, but look. Okay, hold on. Before you guys knock the trilby, let me just reiterate a point. I was at Mardi Gras in San Diego about 2 weeks after I got the trilby, hanging out with the same dude and his roommate, And he was also wearing a trilby, okay, and dressed very fashionable. I'll give him that. And this girl walks up to him, and her friend walk up to my friends, and just out of the blue go, "I want to suck your cock tonight." And then they went off and did their thing. But the point is, they were just standing there wearing a trilby, and it apparently attracted two extremely drunk women. So, you know, I mean...
It works. It works.
Yeah, I was the fifth wheel of that whole excursion, so I recused myself from being involved in any way, shape, or form. You know, but the point is, I've seen it work. It's just... It's like finding the great white buffalo, you know what I mean? Like, it's just you're not going to find it ever again, sort of thing. But back to the subject of video games, not about my friend's sexual escapades.
I do like to generally scoff at American pickup artists because being an English guy who lived in America, it was the easiest thing in the fucking world.
It's the accent, okay?
It's so good.
Literally
oh my god! Oh my god! Are you from Britain? Oh my god! Oh.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
talking,
but
it's
it's like
so
if I go to London, if I go to the UK, is it going to be the same thing? Like,
No,
No,
go to
no,
France.
everyone?
Go to France.
No, you don't have an accent.
Sorry.
Go to France.
Unfortunately, that used to work in the Second World War. It didn't work anymore.
Well, I was born in the wrong goddamn time.
Well,
period.
seriously, if you were a GI in 1942, you'd be knee deep in women with bacon fat on their legs to pretend it's stockings.
I heard the same thing happened in the Ukraine, actually. It's like, that's why mail-order brides are so popular.
Oh yeah.
I thought Russians. Oh, no, never mind. Whatever.
Oh no, seriously, I know a dude who is the least attractive human being alive, and he spent about £20,000, which is about $40,000, on a girl from Poland who just left him. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I know a guy.
So those ex-Soviets don't
the
fuck
same
around.
thing. Yeah. He spent like I think upwards of like around $20,000 to bring a woman over from Russia, and they were married for like 2 years or something, and then she left him. But the way current U.S. immigration rules work for that is you got to be married for 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's like if you know that kind of shit don't fly, I just crack the fuck up because I find that whole world to be very interesting in terms of like who would go. I mean, like I've looked up prices. Like I've price checked how much it costs for one.
Why have you price checked this?
I love
get
that you
really
you do like
conversation.
Hold on.
You're so
Before I get to
above
what
it,
I'm different
and then you're like, okay, I've started the ordering process. I put one in the basket online.
No. In like 2007 or
catalog.
so,
Could you do like a filter system?
I wanted to do a documentary about the mail order bride.
Yes,
world.
that's what
So-
you wanted.
So yeah, no, legitimate documentary. And I was gonna try to raise money for my friend to go through the process because he was talking about saving up to do it anyway. And
Why?
everything. Because he had gotten out of a really damaging relationship where he was sexually abused by his ex-girlfriend, and it had been a couple years, and he had trouble like connecting with women. And so like he was kind of just at this point where he was like, I don't even know what to do anymore. His family's on his ass to like, you know, get married, have kids, and so he was really like thinking about that. And I'm like, well, what if we made it like a documentary? What if we like raised the money and we got some cameras and we took off towards the Ukraine and we went on one of those 9-week excursions. It's like $5,000 a person. You know, it's like a 9-week excursion and it's through like 5 or 6 cities. And you spend like you go to 5-star hotels and you're doing all this stuff and you're meeting all these women. Like, what if we did that and then try to do a documentary about it? Do you think that'd be something you'd want to do? And he goes like, for one, I don't think they'd let you do that because like there's a big thing. It's like if you go through Amsterdam and you go to the red light district and you have a camera, like I heard they'll break your camera or throw like fucking rubbing alcohol in your face or something. Like they don't want you taking pictures of that shit. So it's like, okay, this is. I mean, it's almost like you're spending $5,000 from what I've read from some people who have done it, essentially to kind of like fuck your way around the Ukraine for a couple weeks. Essentially, it's like you just go and you meet these women, and it feels very much like a high-end prostitution ring. Is what it feels like if you just look at like the basics of it. And when we discovered that, we were like, this is probably not a good idea.
To bring this back round to SJWs, really, this is why Eli Roth is essentially a closet SJW, intentionally trying to scare people away from Eastern European sex work. because they don't want their eyeballs to be pulled out. That's what Hostel was. It's an anti-publicity stunt.
Oh yeah.
A load of tourist boards in Eastern Europe got really pissed off with Eli Roth and went, "Thanks very much. You basically just ruined our backpacker trade."
Yeah, I saw that movie when it came out. I just love the business card at the end. It was like RussianGangster.com or some shit.
And my favourite bit was the eyeball. It was the worst bit of prosthetics I'd seen in years.
Oh, where he clips it and then like
yeah,
the pus
and
comes out?
just like some unknown white goop comes out.
Well, yeah, cause when I saw it, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like and then I thought about it afterward, and I was like, "Wait a minute, how is it the guy was able to remove the eyeball with the but still like blowtorch around the right side of the face and keep that in place? How did that even happen?"
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about the logistics of it, and this didn't work.
Yeah, that ruined that film for me. That just ruined it.
Well, according to Eli Roth, piracy killed Hostel.
Torture porn ever.
I'm glad that phase is over. I'm glad the torture porn side of things are done. But yeah, I mean, I guess we should probably go back to gaming.
Yeah, it's something to bring this back around. Because realistically, the situation we have here is very much grief porn. See, I'm pulling this back around to the conversation. And if we can kind of, it's worth mentioning, obviously, that we've discussed this earlier in the stream, some may have joined later, the absolute vitriol that's come, there's right this, like the last couple of days, the in thing with regards to media is to say gamers are dangerous, violent scumbags. Then when called up on it, they either say, not all, or they flat out, with regards to, what is it, David Ferrasi from Badass Digest, saying that we are worse than ISIS. and
that's going on a goddamn tombstone. When that motherfucker dies, I'm gonna find out where the hell he's buried. I'm gonna carve that shit in there.
This prick as well. Like I tweeted him about what made me laugh is that movie Bob Chipman, who is just a fucking maggot. He's really just sick of him recently. He was going on about look, the misogyn nerds have started a fight with David Ferrasi. This'll be interesting. Ha ha ha. Literally, it took 2 tweets from me to shut his fucking face. And I just politely went
to climb the Empire State Building.
That was so funny. But actually, I sent a tweet to this guy saying, "Wow, that's I sent one to Bob and him saying, "Wow, way to have the moral high ground." And then this guy was like, "You don't understand. It was hyperbole. I put ha-ha in it." And I was like, "So all the comments that you're seeing, you don't see them as hyperbole then?" And then he was like, "No, I seriously think you gamers are going to kill someone one day, probably a female developer." And I was like, "Just keep digging, man, keep digging." He sent me tweet after tweet after tweet, and all I replied was like, just keep going. I'm not going to argue with you. Just keep doing it.
Why try to demonize gamers so much? I don't understand. Like, suddenly it's this thing that every gaming journalism, CNN, Fox News, it doesn't matter. We're all demons in their minds, and it just irritates me. Because you have a bunch of casual gamers, and they're playing, Angry Birds on their phone or something stupid. And then you have more, I guess, PC gamers, hardcore gamers, and it's just so dumb to just group us all in one category.
And the great thing is that is what Total Biscuit is attempting to fight against. And I have to I don't agree with everything he says all the time, and nor should I ever, and everything. But I have to go and give John Bain a big kind of round of applause for that. He's been stepping up, and the thing is, he knows he's in a position to kind of incite change. People look to him, right? He's more of a consumer advocate than Jim Sterling. And that's one of the reasons.
He's an entertainer first, really.
He's an entertainer first, but he understands his audience, and he understands treating them with respect. And because he gets a lot of shit hurled at him, and he doesn't hide behind it. He'll call it out. But the thing is, as much as I like Boogie 298 and everything, when he did his Zoe Quinn video, I was like, dude, you're not even looking at the overall aspect of it too. Plus, when you pull up this whole trust no one mentality of games journalism, I'm like, that's no, no. You think during McCarthyism they're saying to Edward R. Murrow, trust no one, don't trust Edward R. Murrow. He's only trying to get you to not go to fucking jail for the Red Scare. fucking Walter Cronkite. You know what I mean? Like all these dudes. Like trust no one. I mean, come on, that's bullshit. Yeah, if you're
just hold yourself to some fucking standards. I don't want to go in on, and I've said this a number of times. I don't like going in on Boogie because I feel that he really wants to. He's really genuine as a human being and really wants.
Yes, very.
And it makes it very hard to go, look, motherfucker, just for 1 second, I just want to shake you, and just for a second to go, look, none of these people are your fucking friends. None of your subscribers, none of your industry buddies. Be cynical about what you're getting, rather than say, be cynical of me because I can't be trusted. Say, yeah, I got a free Xbox, and do you know what? Doesn't change a goddamn thing. That's what you say. If someone if somebody comes and endorses you, and you want to have some kind of strength, he earns enough money to buy his own Xbox, but he wants to be part of the clique. He's got that same mentality that is the problem that's pervading journalists. They're so desperate to be in.
I don't get why he wants to be in that clique. He makes
he's so loved, and that's the sad thing. His subscribers.
Yeah,
I've subscribed to Boogie, and I like Boogie in general, and a lot of his subscribers, a lot of his nearly 2 million people, actively love him. They adore him.
No, but he has turned around himself and said, doesn't it? It doesn't matter how many people love you. It's the one person that hates you that you focus on, that you can't get out of your head. Doesn't matter how much love you get from all your subscribers and they're telling you that you're brilliant. It's the one person who's saying, no, you're a fat fuckhead that you're thinking about. And I think that's part of his major problem.
Yeah, it's
no matter how much he gets, it's not enough.
He has to have everyone like him.
It's true, and I will say this though, as a person who has been on the up and coming aspect of YouTube, I guess, if you want to say it, like this last 2 weeks have been a lot like that for me, and you feel this need to want to please everybody. You really do. You know, you really want to make everyone happy, and it's something I think a lot of us just have inherently kind of ingrained into us. But when you have, in my case, I just hit 26,000 subscribers 2 minutes ago, so I've got almost 10,000 more than where I was started before the Zoe post, right? And so you want to make everyone like you, and you know that it's not going to happen, and it's I've been second guessing certain things I want to say. I've been second guessing certain things I want to tweet or certain videos I want to make because of that mentality, and that's such a hard thing to get out of, which is why I've got really frustrated when people were trying to tell me, I guess you could say politely suggest, I don't know how polite it was, but suggest that I be careful about certain things that I say, you know what I mean, or I be careful about who I associate with. And I'm going, wait a minute here, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, you guys didn't know who the hell I was, and you guys didn't care about me 2 weeks ago. I understand that my position in this situation is of a centered one, being towards ground zero and everything, and I'm trying to do my best to spread the word, and people have called me a centralized voice and all this, which I'm not. I just feel like I'm a dude who just has a wider audience now. I'm going to try to use that to benefit people. But at the same time, this will eventually end. This will eventually pass, and I won't be making video after video on the subject matter because it's no longer relevant. And so
in a year, it will be relevant again. Anita 3 will
be relevant again. Yeah.
Anita 3 will come out. We don't know how or who, but it will happen.
And one of the things too is when I was talking to Rich from Review Tech, and it's he was kind of giving me a little bit of insight too. He was telling me, he's like, look, dude, he's like, I just found your channel. I just started watching your videos. He's like, I immediately subscribed. You are going to blow up. You're going to hit my level faster than you think. And we were talking about this before the show. But then I went and read his comments. He goes, you got to watch out though. These people love you now, but they're going to turn on you too. And I went and I read the comments after I did the video with him, and people are like, why don't you talk about this, you fat fuck? Why don't you do this, you fucking bastard? And they're cussing this dude out and for talking about something. And then you read all the comments on his videos, and they're saying the exact same shit to him. I'm like,
yeah, I watched the same thing, and I saw a lot of people cussing you out on the video. I watched that video, and it's in the comments, and they're like, why are you talking to that fuck after what he did to Anita? And I was like, okay, do you know what? I know, and I'll be first to say that people have a reason to be perhaps critical of some of your older work.
Absolutely.
That you have been overly antagonistic, and so have I. We both have had we're both similar in the way that we both have a tendency to run our mouths without thinking about the long-term complications of what we say.
Yeah,
that's fair to say. And it's very easy to look back and do you know what? Yeah, there's shit I've said that I would have unsaid, and people hold on to that. They are fucking bitter. And this is kind of the big issue when it comes to bringing gamers together, because you can't get a unified voice because everyone hates somebody. Now I've got a number of, and I've spoken to you in private, Matt. About, look, you know, we've discussed like some of the YouTubers that I personally, like you or I personally, are not big fans of. I don't dislike them as human beings. I just, for various reasons, I'm not hugely supportive of their content. I don't really hate anybody at all, except for certain people you see who do horrific, you know, inhumane.
Like Zoe.
Yeah.
Well, no, here's the. I don't hate Zoe Quinn. I don't hate Anita Sarkeesian.
I think she's. I'll give you an example of someone I hate. There's someone who the other day in the UK, she beat her 3-year-old son to death because he had food poisoning and was pissing her off. That person I fucking hate.
Yeah, that person.
That bitch I fucking hate. She smashed his head off the bath and he died of a concussion, and then she stuck him in a suitcase and left him in the woods. Like, that bitch, I fucking hate her. Like, I despise her. If I had the chance, I'd punch her in the fucking face. Nobody on YouTube I really hate. Nobody in the gaming media I really hate. I'm critical of them, and I wish they'd change their message in some instances. But I don't. I think we need to be very careful about the hater terminology. Has been so over fucking used. It's so dull and prosaic. Everybody talks about being haters. You're a hater. No, I'm not a hater. I'm critical of this point or this position or this thing, and we need to have that open dialogue. And the problem is, because this whole hater mentality has kicked off and has been sustained, that's why we have the situation we have now, because we have, oh, you're a hater of Anita Sarkeesian. No, I'm critical of her work. I'm critical of her business model. I'm critical of her social media strategy. That doesn't mean I want her dead or I want her harmed. What I do is I want to see her work discredited because I don't believe it's credible.
And I'll admit to, like,
at all.
Go ahead.
Like, I don't. As an academic, she's so unopen-minded to any sort of criticism. She talks about having discussion. Hey, you know, in her Kickstarter video, when I did my own video, I fucking watched that video over and over to kind of try to imitate her. And she talks about, I want to give the language for people to understand and to talk and discuss about these sexist issues. She says that in the Kickstarter, but nowhere in her videos, there's nowhere to talk. There's no discussion. The only discussion we have is other YouTubers making videos about her.
It's a shame, because this is the situation. We end up in the situation that we have with Anita Sarkeesian, where we have, say, someone like Jordan Owen, who is one of the, obviously yourself, Matt, as well, who made a fair number of videos, but obviously Jordan Owen is probably the most prolific Anita Sarkeesian video maker who has more than 2 views.
Detractor or critic.
Yeah,
be a good way to describe Jordan.
I'd say as the one who has the most prolific critiques of her work, I'd say Jordan Owen is the person who has that. By hour, by video, and by view, I'd say he is the most.
Yeah.
In that respect, and of course he's done his Kickstarter. And what pisses me off, I mean, I've heard a lot of people tell me, and this is the thing we talked about. Don't trust people. I've heard people say, you know, don't trust their Patreon, don't trust their project. It's gonna be a fraud. It's gonna fail. Blah blah blah. But my position, even if I want to be kind of sensible about this, is to step back and say, should there not be an openly available, consumerly available counterpoint to Anita Sarkeesian's videos? I think there should be.
No, I agree. And Jordan and I have talked about this. I did that hour-long interview with him on the subject the other day. And, you know, we've talked about this and everything. And a lot of people are like, and I've gotten people like emailing me too saying, like, are you sure you want to be associated? And I'm like, I don't agree with everything, every single thing that he's done in regards of his critique of her. Sometimes I feel it's a bit excessive. However, at the same time, you've got someone who's willing to put his name out there, put his face out there to say, we need to see the alternate side of this debate. We need to give a voice to people who are being bullied into not being able to speak on the subject matter, because these kind of things need to happen.
Well,
And,
I mean, I'm sure you saw the same thing I saw. I mean, I am aware vaguely of Arini's work as well. I've seen some of his videos.
yeah.
He is a fairly his views. He tries to present his views of a very obviously we live in a complex world. And he tries to present them in a way that it reflects what his thoughts, but of course he can come across as abrasive and his performance can come across as counterproductive to people being interested in it. And obviously, when this video came out, the amount of people who were referring to him as a cartoon wizard. He's like an evil wizard.
Saw a lot of references
What's wrong with
Kane
being a cartoon
from,
wizard?
Command and Conquer. Remember Kane from Command and Conquer?
Yeah.
Like a lot of that, like with the lighting and everything.
The way he lights his cigarette, and yes, he has affectations. I mean, you can disagree with his positions, and I think it's fair to say the funny thing about it is that he and Jordan are probably, I don't know either of them, but from what I can tell, they're both actually fairly different parts of the political and philosophical spectrum.
They are, and that's one of the things that Jordan's been trying to convey. Jordan is very much, I would like to see him take more of the face of this. And the reason why is because he's got the most clear and concise, I want to say, message, in my opinion. I don't know Davis Arini personally. I've seen a couple of his videos. I have no true opinion of him one way or the other. But I know Jordan pretty well. And that's the thing, too, is like you look at someone like this and you go, okay, he wants to make this video or this movie, and they want to release it, and again, they want to get it out there. The fact, in my opinion, that they haven't shut down after all that came out from the other day shows you that they are dedicated and committed to at least trying to get the word out. Because, I mean, let's face it, when you've got, like, a bunch of people in Hollywood that are reading this really one-sided fucking article without even bothering to take 1 second to look at the opposition or why it's happening, and then they go and they immediately are retweeting it. You got like Rian Johnson, who is the writer-director of Looper and will be the writer and director of Star Wars Episodes 8 and 9, retweeting it out there. You've got Joss Whedon steps up to support Anita Sarkeesian based on what he was reading. Like, I mean, it's like, I mean, people, we were doing a live stream when that came out, and the response was like, oh, fuck. Like, Joss Whedon just stepped in, like, this is bad. You know what I mean? Like, this is moved beyond that. And the thing is, though, for me, as a person who wants to, like, eventually find a way to get into the Hollywood system, because I very much like it in terms of just the creative process of it all, even I would be, like, shitting bricks if it was, if that whole thing had come out. And so you got to look at these guys and go, okay, they have a position that they want to explore. They have their own style of rhetoric, and it's going to appeal to probably a smaller audience. But if it's done in a way, and I've told this to Jordan too, I'm like, you need to convey this in the best possible light. You need to do this in the best possible way. There cannot be any surprise attacks. This cannot be about harassment. This cannot be about anything other than just exploring the other side. And he's like, and he tells me, he's like, no, I know, that's what we're trying to do.
I totally agree. And the thing is, though, if you want to highlight, there's two comments done by the same person, who I'm not looking to criticize him, but I am looking to point them out as this is indicative of the situation that you have. Both in fact with the kind of supporters and detractors. This comment being Jordan Owens sucks. He begs for money the same way Anita does, and the other dude is totally weird. Which unfortunately, here's the problem. I'm going to say as I see it, is that with regards to providing a counterpoint to Anita Sarkeesian, to spend the amount of time and effort it takes to critique her work minute to minute and critique her as a person, it requires a certain degree of obsessiveness. Not that that's a bad thing, but you have to be committed to the counter message and committed to countering her message. So I can't imagine anybody who would go to the extent of creating a feature film in order to discredit the situation that has occurred without appearing a bit weird to outsiders.
Yeah, because
most of them don't care. Like, they just don't give a shit. They go, oh, who gives a shit? Some YouTube videos. And then people go, no, I really fucking care. I do care about the way she misrepresents things. I do care the fact that she shoots characters in Hitman, drags them to positions, and then goes, look how bad the game is, and go, you've just fucking done that.
IGN just did an article yesterday where they mentioned that, and they were like, they showed one of Thunderfoot's videos. It was funny. It was about the Sarkeesian Effect, but yet Jordan's name, I don't think it was mentioned once, and they linked to a Thunderfoot video. Like, of all fucking things. And so they did that, and it's basically like they brought up the Hitman Absolution footage, and people are absolutely positively attempting to discredit that analysis of that work. It's like any one of us who played the game know that you don't have to kill those people. You can kill those people, but it's not a choice. You know, it's not like it's completely optional if you want to kill them. You know, now the part a little bit later in that when she talks about how you use a body of a dead hooker to distract guards, yeah, that's actually in the game, and that is something that
you can use a body of a dead hooker.
You can. It's a side objective, but it's something that's there.
If there was a male hooker, would they care though?
I mean, here's the thing.
No, they would not. That's the truth. They wouldn't care.
They wouldn't care.
It could be
it was just some random bodyguard.
Oh yeah, if it just been the body of another guard.
Yeah, if it was a body of another guard, they wouldn't give a fuck. Guys die in video games all the fucking time. They never cared about that. Why is it that suddenly, oh, a female? Because, in truth, they're sexist themselves. That's what it boils down to. They care that, oh, you know, women get hurt, but it's like, if you reverse that, it's nobody gives a shit that men get hurt, go to war, or, you know, like, I remember I did my video where Marcus Phoenix's muscles, his muscles are so fucking huge. No way is that even realistic at all. We sexualize men just as much as we sexualize women. That's just our entire media. Hollywood does that. I mean, if you look at Hollywood actors, all of them are fucking beautiful, but I don't know. I'm ranting.
They will. Okay, see. Okay, just allow me to take like the devil's advocate of that particular argument. I agree with you, but I do think that there's some validity to the claim where they're coming from. Now, the thing is like the way I look at the sexism aspect in games is like you go, yes, there are particular tropes, if you want to use that term, that people use to create characters, to design characters. I think, in my personal opinion, a lot of those tropes that are called out are absolutely irrelevant. Simply because since about 2004, 2003, 2004, Hollywood producers were hired to come into the gaming industry to help make it more cinematic. And we've seen this with a lot of movies. Like if you look at a lot of games, like Halo 2 had a lot of very cinematic moments in it that were amazing, right? Like I mean, I fucking love some of those cinematic moments. Some of the camera work that they do, they put the time and effort into making these things that are awesome to behold. And a lot of Hollywood producers, they know how to market and package products. So yeah, you know, Years of War has like as Cliff Bleszinski says, he's got it's the the invention of the dude bro gamer, if you will, because you've got these overly muscle bound men that are wearing all this body armor and wielding like extreme weapons with like chainsaws and guns and shit. You know, I mean like all of these things. It's like, but that's an art style that they're choosing to do. Whereas you got something like Dead or Alive, that's an art style of choosing scantily clad people, not just women, but it's people, to fight. And yeah, there are sexualized imagery of women. If you go back to the original Xbox released, and there was Dead or Alive 3 that came out for it. And there was a commercial at the time showing all the girls playing, because there was like they had the boob jiggle physics. That was actually an option in that game. You could put the boob jiggle from like age 0 to age 99, depending on how much jiggle you wanted. And that was an actual option in that game. And they showed images of like dudes playing it, and like they're all covering up their crotch with a pillow, to hide their boner and everything. And it was like a ha-ha funny commercial. Now that commercial wouldn't happen today. It simply would not happen today. But when that came out in 2001, no one cared.
Yeah.
No one cared because the mindset wasn't there. And I know, oh my God, I know so many women who love and adore Dead or Alive, like that play the shit. Because here's the thing too, is what a lot of these social justice warriors, and even if that's the term you want to use, I don't even know anymore. But these like Anita Sarkeesian is a very sex negative feminist. That's what people need to realize is, like, Zoe Quinn is a very sex-positive feminist. Sarkeesian is sex-negative. So they have differing dichotomies there. They have differing opinions based on how they view sex. Zoe looks at it as a form of expression and empowerment. Anita looks at it as a form of oppression and submission. So that's how they differently approach it. But because sex is still a huge factor of everything we do in life, right? Because let's face it, our primary core function as an animal, which is what we are, is to reproduce. That's what we have to do. That's our primary function on this planet. But when it's used as a way to, like, sell a product, some people take a little bit of offense with that. I think that sex sells everything, because here's the thing. People want to buy products from other attractive people. Right?
Yes, of course they do.
You know, you want to, like, you know, I mean, the thing is he tried to say anyone who says no is lying, obviously. Almost like anyone who says they don't masturbate is absolutely fucking lying. Sorry, I'm thinking of a friend of mine from way back in the day. But anyway, the point is, you've got, like, these people that are trying to, like, change how we are designed, how we're hardwired through guilt and shaming tactics, instead of exploring why we're hardwired the way we're hardwired and maybe offering solutions to changing that aspect, to changing those opinions. That's my biggest complaint with Sarkeesian. I don't fucking care about... I care about a lot of the shit that she's done. My biggest ultimate complaint is she offers absolutely zero solutions to the problem at hand. She sits on her high horse or in her fucking ivory tower, of which she's damseled herself, and she basically says, you are all the problem. Well, then we say, well, then, okay, fine. What do we do to fix it? What do you... Yeah, what's your solution? Oh, it's not my job to educate you. Are you fucking kidding me? You
then
cannot take a position in academia and not offer solutions on how to change things.
Yeah, because this is the thing. There are some things that do need to be addressed. There are, in terms of gender. I mean, just in terms of even just something as simple as age. I mean, you can be